ROTC programs. Charles Harold is profiled by a San Jose State professor. And in sports, the soccer team wins another one. All these stories and more coming up on this first edition of Update News.
From the campus of San Jose State University, this is Update News.
Good morning and welcome to the first Update Newscast of the fall semester. I'm Angela Wolfer.
And I'm Kimberly Creighton.
The Air Force and Army ROTC programs will be leaving San Jose State. On Monday, the university's academic senate voted to eliminate both programs. However, Army detachment already planned to leave at the end of the academic year. They're moving because of low enrollment. The Academic Senate's main reason behind the cut is the military discriminating on sexual orientation, and that violates San Jose State's policy. Lieutenant Colonel Kirk Brown is the chairman of the Aerospace Studies Department. He says the program provides for everyone.
Unfortunately, the university wants us to leave. I think the program offers diversity to the curriculum. It's an excellent opportunity for students to gain and receive a commission to serve in the Armed Forces of the United States.
Students in the ROTC program get financial assistance from the military. Brown says the Air Force detachment may move to Santa Clara University, but he says they'll continue the program at San Jose State for approximately 4 more years.
Air Force ROTC program offers more than a chance to serve. Update News reporter Sue Polanki has a story.
The Air Force ROTC program at San Jose State started in 1948. Major Howard Brown was the first detachment commander, and today his son, Lieutenant Colonel Kirk Brown, heads the program. There were 18 people in the first detachment, and this semester there are approximately 90 officers. The ROTC program allows students to become military officers while receiving an education. Students may also get full or partial financial aid and scholarships by being in the program. For some, this makes it possible to get a higher education.
A lot of people who aren't going to be able to pay for school and might not be able to get a good education.
Lieutenant Colonel Brown says the ROTC program is important to the military.
In today's military, you want to have a very broad-minded individual with all the different changes going on and different issues to confront. If you have a person that's had a very broad college-type education, then they're able to come up with new solutions for that.
What Major Brown helped start 46 years ago will end with his son in command. 2 weeks ago, the Academic Senate voted to eliminate the ROTC programs on campus. They said the military policy violates the university's policy on the discrimination of sexual orientation. The Air Force program will continue on this campus for at least another 4 years. Lieutenant Colonel Brown says it's still questionable where the program may move, but Santa Clara University may be an option. This is Sue Polanki reporting for Update News.
The university is currently working on protecting students in the program. This may include transferring students to UC Berkeley to continue their education.
Good morning. I'm Angie Cernowski.
And I'm Darren Vaughn.
San Jose State is the only school in the California State University system that at this point still plans to eliminate its ROTC program. But the university needs to hear from the federal government before it can act. That's because a lot of federal funding is at stake. Update's Damio Tekenyuk gives us the details.
In the fall of 1994, San Jose State University's Academic Senate voted to remove all ROTC programs from campus. It was felt that the military's don't ask, don't tell policy towards homosexuals was a violation of the university's anti-discrimination policy.
If San Jose State proceeds, then they will be in violation of that law and lose appropriate funding to be determined by the Department of Defense and the other federal agencies.
The Solomon Act states those campuses that do not allow military recruitment or ROTC units forfeit federal grants and other funds. President Robert Corrett says the university is still waiting to see if they're in violation of the law.
If the federal government will say to me, if you do this, then we will do that. And if you don't do this, then we will do that. I'll make a choice. But I'd like to know what it is they want from me and what they plan on doing to me if I don't do it. Because, you know, I'm willing to tell them what I'm willing to do, but they're just using innuendo and what I call scare politics to try to force this campus to change on its principles.
It was originally speculated that SJSU could lose up to $56 million in federal funding. That included Pell Grants and other forms of student financial aid. But Corrett says that figure has changed.
We have about $17.5 million in grants and contracts that are still affected by the Solomon Amendment, and so we're still considering our options there.
While $17.5 million is not nearly the amount originally anticipated, several programs, such as the Moss Landing Marine Laboratories, could feel the sting if federal funding is removed. Oceanography professor Ken Johnson says Moss Landing relies almost exclusively on federal funding. He thinks that all of his students have been supported at one time or another by the Department of Defense grants. Without federal funds, Johnson doubts whether the laboratory could survive. The university's academic senate chair, Kenneth Peter, says the Senate will not act until they know what the consequences will be.
We want to be sure that when we make our decision, we have the information we need to do it rationally and to deliberate in a reasonable fashion, rather than making decisions based on guesses as to how things might turn out.
Despite the uncertainty of the program's future, morale remains high among ROTC cadets.
We're keeping our heads high. I mean, we're not going to put our feet down and drag our feet and kind of just wait this thing out. I mean, we have a mission to accomplish, and we're going to accomplish that mission whether we know we're going to be here or not. That's the most important thing.
So for now, all everyone can do is wait for the Department of Defense to officially rule on the matter. After that, it's anyone's guess as to what will happen. This is Damir Tokenyuk for Update News.
Currently, SJSU is the only CSU school being scrutinized by the Department of Defense. But that's because all other schools have decided to keep their ROTC programs. The Solomon Act will go into effect on March 28th.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Darren Bong.
And I'm Kelly Leach.
There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the Air Force ROTC program on campus this semester. It was scheduled to be phased out by May of 1999, but that may not happen now. Updates Damir Katenyuk gives us the latest news on this hot subject.
The 2.5-year battle to remove the Air Force ROTC from San Jose State has ended, at least for now. University President Robert Corrett announced the school will allow the unit to stay on campus. By doing so, the school will avoid losing an estimated $20 to $23 million in federal grants and aid. Corrett said this was not an easy decision to make.
It really comes down to a balance of, do you stand on principle and harm thousands of students and hundreds of faculty and the institution itself in an irreparable way, or do you yield on the principle in order to continue the institution forward to fight for the principle it believes in? And we've chosen the latter path.
Lieutenant Colonel Kirk Brown of the Air Force ROTC unit was happy with the decision.
Pleased that the university reversed its decision on ROTC and has allowed us to continue to produce liberally educated officers for the Air Force here from San Jose State University.
In the fall of 1994, the university's academic senate voted to remove ROTC programs from campus because the military's don't ask, don't tell policy violated the school's anti-discrimination code. While most people who supported the ban praised Corrett for his vigilance, others thought he should have had more help.
We can be, held like prostitutes, in captivity to the Department of Defense under this kind of policy. And I think that the trustees and the chancellor have to maintain some responsibility for allowing this to happen. I mean, they may not have won, but they certainly should have been in the forefront, and they have a lot of influence in Washington. They should have brought this influence to bear.
The university's academic senate is still not happy with the decision.
We have had some contact with the ACLU, and we have begun to make inquiries, both with Lambda and a number of other organizations as well.
So it appears that even though President Corrett has announced the unit will remain on campus, the fight to remove it may not be over yet. This is Damir Tokenyuk for Update News.
This year's ROTC freshman class is currently taking classes at Santa Clara University, but now they'll return to San Jose State full-time next semester.